Today, you're going to understand three of the clearest signals a woman gives when desire is already active inside her, not when she's thinking about it, but when she's already feeling it. These are not loud, obvious moves. They're subtle, easy to miss, and often misunderstood. So stay with me all the way through, especially until the third one, because that final signal is the one that happens right in plain sight. It's the one most men overlook, even when it's happening directly in front of them, and by the time they realize it, the moment is already gone. Before getting into those signals, there's something you need to hear clearly. If you've missed these moments before, it wasn't because something is wrong with you. It wasn't because you lacked confidence, awareness, or attractiveness. It's simply because no one ever showed you how to recognize the patterns behind female desire, and without that understanding, even the clearest signals can pass by unnoticed. The truth is, the way a woman experiences and expresses desire is very different from how a man does. A man tends to feel attraction and move forward in a direct, visible way. He shows interest through action, through words, through clear intent. A woman, on the other hand, rarely moves like that. When she feels desire, she becomes more observant, more intentional, and far more subtle in how she expresses it. Instead of stepping forward openly, she creates situations, small openings, and moments that allow her to test what she feels without fully exposing herself. She builds context around the interaction. She sets the stage in a way that gives her room to feel safe while still exploring the connection. It's not hesitation, and it's not confusion. It's a different kind of intelligence at work. She opens a door, but she doesn't walk through it alone. She pauses and waits, watching closely to see if you notice the invitation and step forward with her. This pattern didn't appear randomly. It has deep roots in human behavior that go back thousands of years. From an evolutionary standpoint, women have always needed a higher level of certainty before moving closer to someone. Not out of pickiness, but out of necessity. The cost of choosing the wrong partner was historically much higher, so the instinct to observe, to test, and to feel things out before committing became part of the natural process. That instinct hasn't disappeared. It still operates quietly beneath the surface today, even in modern interactions. Because of that, when a woman begins to feel desire, she rarely expresses it in a loud or obvious way. She doesn't announce it or make it easy to read. Instead, she softens it. She lets it show through small behaviors, through tone, through subtle actions that most people overlook. These signals are not meant to be seen by everyone. They are meant to be noticed by the man who is paying attention. They are quiet, almost like whispers, but once you learn to recognize them, they become impossible to ignore. Because of this, the signals she gives when she feels that spark are rarely loud or dramatic. They don't come in obvious gestures that demand attention. Instead, they show up in small, almost invisible shifts in her behavior. These are the moments that most men overlook, not because they are complicated, but because they are subtle. They don't look like attraction on the surface. They look like normal interaction, casual movement, or simple friendliness. But underneath, there is intention. These signals are the quiet ways her body and mind begin to move closer to you before she ever says a word about how she feels. They are the whispers that reveal what she is not ready to say out loud yet. And when you understand them, you begin to see a completely different layer of communication happening in front of you. The first of these signals appears through physical contact, not the kind that is necessary, but the kind that happens without a clear reason. It is small, almost dismissible, but it carries meaning if you know what to look for. The first sign shows up in the way she touches you, and it goes beyond what the moment actually requires. This is not about accidental contact or something that happens out of necessity. It is intentional, even if she is not fully aware of it herself. She might reach for your arm while speaking, tap your shoulder while laughing, or let her hand rest on you just a little longer than expected. None of these actions are needed for the conversation to continue, yet they happen anyway. What matters here is not just the touch itself, but the quality and timing of it. There is a difference between brief, functional contact and contact that lingers. When she allows that extra second to exist, it becomes a signal. Her body is doing something her words are not yet ready to express. In that moment, she is closing the space between you, testing how it feels to be physically connected. If this is already starting to click for you, Take a second to support the channel. Your engagement helps keep this kind of insight coming and reaching more people who need it. What's happening beneath that touch is something deeper than simple friendliness. When a woman feels that internal pull toward you, her nervous system begins to respond before she even thinks about it. There is a natural urge to confirm your presence, to feel you physically, even in the smallest way. This is not something she plans step by step. It happens automatically, guided by emotion rather than logic. That is why the touch often looks casual on the surface, but carries a different weight when you slow down and really notice it. You will start to see it in the details. She touches you and does not immediately withdraw. Her hand stays for a brief moment longer than necessary, almost as if she is allowing herself to experience the contact before letting it go. That small pause is where the meaning lives. It is her body expressing interest before her words are ready to follow. When you begin to recognize that difference, you stop brushing these moments aside as coincidence. You start to see them as early signals of something building beneath the surface. The second signal begins to show itself through her eyes, but not in the obvious way most people assume. Many have heard that eye contact can indicate interest, yet very few understand the subtle shifts that separate normal interaction from genuine desire. It is not just about whether she looks at you, but how she holds that gaze and what happens around it. When a woman feels that internal spark, her focus on you becomes more intentional, more sustained, and more expressive without needing words. Her eyes stay with you a little longer than what feels socially neutral. There is a softness in the way she looks, a quiet attention that suggests she is not just seeing you, but taking you in. And then, when she finally breaks that eye contact, the direction of her glance matters. Instead of looking off to the side as people often do in casual conversation, her eyes drop slightly downward. This is not hesitation, it is a natural expression of openness, a moment where confidence and vulnerability meet. When this pattern repeats, look, soften, glance down, then return, it creates a rhythm that signals more than simple politeness. It reveals a growing comfort and a deeper level of interest that words have not yet expressed. This shift in her gaze is not something she consciously practices or rehearses. It happens naturally, as her body responds to the feeling she is experiencing. When that spark is present, her attention becomes more focused, and even small details in your expression or tone begin to matter more to her. You may notice that she holds eye contact just a moment longer than expected, then lets her eyes soften before briefly looking down and returning to you again. That sequence creates a subtle rhythm that feels different from ordinary conversation. What makes this important is not just the eye contact itself, but the consistency of it. When it repeats, it stops being coincidence and starts becoming a pattern. It is her way of showing interest without needing to say anything directly. There is a sense of openness in it, a quiet acceptance of the connection that is forming. As you begin to recognize this, it becomes easier to understand what she is communicating beneath the surface. And once you see it clearly, you move into the final signal, the one that reveals intention more directly than the others. The third signal shows up in something most men overlook because it feels so normal in the moment. It appears when she begins to shape the environment around you in a way that creates a sense of privacy. You might be in a group setting, surrounded by people, and yet she finds a way to narrow the interaction down to just the two of you. It doesn't feel forced. It feels natural, almost casual, but it is deliberate. She might suggest stepping aside for a moment, asking you to join her somewhere quieter, or pulling your attention away from the group with a small reason that doesn't seem important on the surface. Sometimes it's as simple as lowering her voice and leaning in slightly, creating a space where the conversation feels more personal. These actions are not random. They are intentional shifts designed to change the dynamic from public to private. What she is doing is creating a small, shared space where the connection can deepen without distraction. It is her way of testing whether you will notice the invitation and step into that space with her. When she creates that private space, she is doing more than just changing the setting. She is inviting you into a different level of connection, one that feels more focused, more personal, and more intentional. It is her way of seeing whether you can recognize the shift and respond with calm confidence instead of hesitation. If you step into that moment with presence, without overthinking or forcing anything, the interaction naturally begins to move forward on its own. What matters most is how you carry yourself in that space. She is not looking for perfection or rehearsed lines. She is looking for awareness, for a man who understands what is happening without needing it spelled out. When you respond with ease and clarity, it confirms to her that she can relax and let the connection grow. That is when things begin to unfold without resistance. If you want to go deeper into how to respond in these moments and build stronger attraction naturally, there is more to explore beyond this. But before anything else, remember this. You did not miss those opportunities because you lacked value. You missed them because you did not yet understand the signals. Now you do. Apply it, trust it, and carry that awareness forward. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.